There is a plant on our world with a truly split personality. It is a flower of delicate beauty, with petals like crumpled silk that dance in the breeze. This plant is known to science as Papaver somniferum, but you might know it better as the opium poppy. For thousands of years, humans have cultivated this plant, drawn to it for both nourishment and medicine. Its tiny, nutty seeds have seasoned our breads and cakes, adding a delightful crunch to our meals. Yet hidden within this same plant is a substance that has shaped empires, relieved unimaginable pain, and fueled a modern crisis of addiction and despair. This plant is a paradox, a source of both healing and profound suffering. Its story is deeply intertwined with our own human journey, a testament to our ongoing quest to understand and control the natural world. The opium poppy holds a unique and powerful place in the grand library of Earth's botany. It is a member of the poppy family, or Papaveraceae, which includes over 800 different species of flowering plants. But Papaver somniferum is special. It manufactures a milky white liquid, a latex, that is unlike any other. This latex contains a complex mixture of potent chemicals, molecules that have the power to alter the very chemistry of the human brain. These are the opioids, a class of substances that includes morphine and codeine. The plant's dual nature, as a simple food source, and as the origin of powerful narcotics, makes it one of the most significant and controversial plants in human history. Its story is not just about botany, it is about chemistry, medicine, trade, and the very nature of human consciousness itself. To understand the opium poppy is to explore a fundamental aspect of our relationship with nature. We are a species that constantly seeks out resources to improve our lives. We look for food to sustain us, materials to build our shelters, and medicines to heal our ailments. The opium poppy offered a powerful solution to one of humanity's oldest and most persistent problems: severe pain. The relief it provided was so profound that it was often seen as a gift from the gods. But this gift came with a hidden cost. The same chemicals that could soothe pain could also create a powerful dependence, a craving that could consume a person's life. This duality has followed the poppy through centuries of human history, from ancient temples to modern hospitals and shadowy alleyways. The journey of the opium poppy is a journey through time and across civilizations. It is a story that begins in the fertile soils of the ancient world, and continues today in laboratories, farm fields, and policy debates around the globe. Its scientific name, Papaver somniferum, gives us a clue to its most famous property. In Latin, somniferum means sleep-bringing. This name was given to it by those who observed its profound ability to induce a state of calm and slumber. In this essay, we will travel back in time to uncover the ancient roots of this plant. We will investigate the ingenious biological machinery that allows it to produce its famous latex. We will explore the chemical secrets held within that latex, and we will follow its path into the modern world, where its legacy is more complicated and more urgent than ever before. The story of the opium poppy does not begin in a modern laboratory or a recent discovery. It starts long, long ago, before the first words were ever written down. Archaeological evidence tells us that humans have been cultivating this remarkable plant for at least 8,000 years. Its journey began back in the Neolithic era, a time when our ancestors were first learning to farm the land and build permanent settlements. The earliest signs of its use have been found scattered across Europe, the Mediterranean region, and West Asia. It seems that as soon as we began to domesticate plants for food, the opium poppy was among our chosen companions. It grew alongside our earliest crops of wheat and barley, a silent witness to the dawn of human civilization. Scientists who study the origins of domesticated plants believe that the wild ancestor of Papaver somniferum was first cultivated in a region known as the Fertile Crescent. This area, which includes parts of modern-day Turkey, Iraq, and Kuwait, is often called the cradle of civilization. It was here, in places like Mesopotamia and the Anatolian Peninsula, that our ancestors first selectively bred the poppy. They likely chose the plants that produced the largest seed capsules, ensuring a better harvest for food. At the same time, they would have noticed the plant's other special properties. They would have discovered the calming, pain-relieving effects of the milky sap that oozed from the unripe seed pods. This knowledge would have been incredibly valuable, a powerful tool in a world without modern medicine. As human civilizations grew and connected, so too did the knowledge of the opium poppy. By around 1500 BCE, the ancient Greeks were well aware of its potent effects. They are the ones who gave it the name that hints at its power, somniferum, the sleep bringer. They recognized its ability to ease suffering and grant a peaceful rest to those in pain. The plant and its precious latex became a staple of ancient medicine, used by physicians to treat a wide range of ailments. It was a primary ingredient in remedies for everything from sleeplessness and coughing to severe pain from injuries or disease. This powerful plant was integrated into the very fabric of society, seen not as a dangerous drug, but as a vital and benevolent medicine. From the ancient Mediterranean, the use of opium spread along the burgeoning trade routes that connected the world. It traveled east along the Silk Road, reaching Persia, India, and eventually China. In each new culture, it was adapted and adopted, its use shaped by local customs and medical traditions. For millennia, the opium poppy was primarily a source of medicine, and, to a lesser extent, a ritual substance. It was a respected and sometimes revered part of the human toolkit for survival and well-being. It was only much later in our history that the darker side of its chemistry would come to dominate its story, transforming this ancient healer into the source of a global crisis that challenges us to this day. How does a simple flower create such a powerful substance? The secret lies deep within the plant's own biology, in a specialized network of cells. This network is a fascinating piece of natural engineering. It is made up of long, tube-like cells called latticifers. These latticifers weave their way throughout the entire plant, from the roots and stem all the way up to the leaves and the beautiful flower petals. Think of it as a kind of internal plumbing system. This system is responsible for producing, storing, and transporting the plant's most important defense mechanism, a thick white liquid known as latex. This is the very substance that we call raw opium. The production of this latex is a matter of survival for the opium poppy. In the wild, plants face a constant barrage of threats. They are attacked by hungry insects that want to chew on their leaves, and by microscopic enemies like fungi and bacteria that can cause disease. The poppy cannot run away from these dangers, so it must fight back with chemistry. The latex is its weapon. When a part of the plant is damaged, for example, when an insect bites into a leaf or a seed pod, the laticifer system is ruptured. The latex, which is held under pressure, immediately oozes out and covers the wound. It is a brilliant and effective defense strategy, created through millions of years of evolution. This milky latex serves several defensive purposes at once. First, it is sticky and quickly thickens when exposed to air. This can physically trap smaller insects or seal off a wound from invading microbes, much like a natural bandage. But the real power of the latex is in its chemical composition. It is a bitter and toxic brew, loaded with a special class of compounds called alkaloids. These alkaloids are poisonous to most insects that try to eat the plant. They act as a powerful deterrent, teaching herbivores to stay away. The plant essentially sends a clear message to would-be attackers: if you try to eat me, you will get sick. This chemical shield allows the poppy to protect itself and ensure it can successfully produce seeds for the next generation. So, the very substance that has had such a profound effect on human society was never intended for us. It is a product of the long evolutionary war between plants and their predators. The opium poppy developed this complex chemical arsenal to defend itself against insects and germs, not to interact with the human nervous system. It is a remarkable coincidence of biochemistry that the alkaloids it uses for its own protection happen to fit perfectly into the receptors in our brains. This accidental connection is the source of the poppy's incredible power over us, for both good and ill. The plant's private defense system became the key to unlocking profound changes in human consciousness. The milky latex of the opium poppy is not a simple substance. It is a complex chemical factory, and when it dries into the brownish gum known as raw opium, it contains a rich assortment of over 40 different alkaloids. These alkaloids are not all the same. They can be sorted into two main groups, each with very different effects on the human body. Understanding these two groups is key to understanding the poppy's dual role as both a medicine and a source of danger. The first group contains the alkaloids that are most famous and most powerful. These are the compounds that directly affect our central nervous system, the command center that includes our brain and spinal cord. The most prominent member of this first group is morphine. In fact, dried opium latex is typically about 10% morphine by weight. This makes morphine the most abundant active ingredient in the poppy's chemical arsenal. Alongside morphine, we find codeine and the bane. These three alkaloids are classified as narcotics. They are incredibly effective at relieving pain, which is why they have been so valuable in medicine for centuries. However, they also have a profound impact on mood, often creating feelings of euphoria and deep relaxation. This combination of pain relief and pleasure is what makes them so highly addictive. The brain quickly learns to crave the state they produce, leading to a powerful psychological and physical dependence. The second group of alkaloids found in opium has a completely different job. These compounds are not narcotics and do not have the same powerful mind-altering effects on the central nervous system. The most notable members of this group are papaverine and noscapine. Instead of targeting the brain, these alkaloids act as antispasmodics. This means they have the ability to relax smooth muscles. Smooth muscles are the involuntary muscles found in the walls of our internal organs, such as our intestines, blood vessels, and airways. By causing these muscles to relax, papaverine can help to relieve cramps and spasms, and it has been used medically to improve blood flow. This chemical duality is what makes the opium poppy so unique. It produces a natural cocktail of substances with distinct and complementary effects. On one hand, you have the narcotics like morphine that block the perception of pain in the brain. On the other hand, you have the antispasmodics like papaverine that can relax the very muscles that might be causing the pain through spasms. For ancient physicians who used the whole opium extract, this combination was incredibly effective. It addressed pain from multiple angles at once. However, this same complexity is what makes the substance so powerful. The different alkaloids work together, creating a potent and multifaceted effect on the human body that we are still working to fully understand. So, humans have developed two very different methods for harvesting the gifts of the opium poppy, each time to a specific stage of the plant's life cycle. The purpose of the harvest, well, that really determines the method. One harvest is for food, to collect the tiny, nutritious seeds. The other harvest is for medicine, or drugs, to collect the powerful latex. These two processes are distinct and occur at different times. The choice of when and how to harvest the poppy's capsule, which is that bulbous pod left behind after the flower's petals fall away, is a critical one. It's a decision that separates a simple agricultural crop from the source of the world's most potent narcotics. Now, when the goal is to harvest poppy seeds for food, the farmer must be patient. After the flower blooms and the petals wither and drop, the seed capsule begins to swell. For a seed harvest, the capsule is left on the stalk to mature and dry out completely. Over several weeks, it turns from a vibrant green to a brittle light brown color. You can often hear the tiny seeds rattling inside when the wind shakes the stalk. Once the capsule is fully dry, it is harvested. The pods are cut from the stalks and broken open, releasing thousands of tiny dark seeds. These seeds are then cleaned and processed to be sold for use in baking and cooking, adding their pleasant nutty flavor to foods enjoyed all over the world. The harvest for latex, however, is a much more delicate and time-sensitive operation. For this purpose, the farmer cannot wait for the capsule to mature. The latex must be collected while the seed pod is still young, green, and full of life. The ideal time for this harvest is very specific, usually between 5 and 10 days after the flower's petals have fallen. During this window, the concentration of alkaloids in the plant's latex is at its absolute peak. The process is traditionally done by hand, and honestly, it requires great skill. Using a special multi-bladed knife, the farmer makes several shallow vertical incisions into the skin of the unripe capsule. It's crucial not to cut too deeply, or the latex will leak inside the pod instead of oozing out. Once the capsule is scored, the magic begins. The milky white latex slowly seeps out from the shallow cuts and collects on the surface of the pod. As it is exposed to the air, it begins to dry and oxidize, turning from white to a thick, dark brown or black gum. The farmers typically wait several hours, or even until the next morning, for the latex to thicken. Then, they return to the plants and, using a special scraper, carefully collect the sticky, dried latex from each individual poppy pod. This raw, gummy substance is opium. It is then collected, shaped into bricks or balls, and prepared for the market. This labor-intensive process has remained largely unchanged for thousands of years. You might think that because poppy seeds are harvested from a completely mature and dry pod, they'd be free from the plant's powerful alkaloids. In a perfect world, that would be true. The seeds themselves do not naturally produce or contain any opiates like morphine or codeine. The alkaloids are confined to the latex within the plant's laticifer system. However, the real world of agricultural harvesting, well, it's not always so tidy. During the process of collecting and processing the seeds, a small but significant amount of contamination can occur. This accidental contamination is what can lead to some very surprising and serious consequences for people who simply enjoy a poppy seed bagel. The problem arises from the dust and residue of the poppy pod itself. When the dried capsules are broken open to release the seeds, tiny fragments of the alkaloid-rich pod material can get mixed in with the harvest. More significantly, the outside of the seed pod can still have trace amounts of opium latex on its surface, especially if the pods were damaged by insects or weather while growing. As the millions of tiny seeds are poured out, they can become coated with this opiate-containing dust. While modern food processing methods are very good at cleaning the seeds and removing the vast majority of this residue, they're not always perfect. Small trace amounts of morphine can sometimes remain on the surface of the seeds. For most people, consuming these trace amounts of morphine is completely harmless and has no noticeable effect. The quantity is typically far too small to produce any of the pain-relieving or euphoric feelings associated with opium. However, our modern drug testing technologies are incredibly sensitive. They're designed to detect even minuscule amounts of substances in the body. This is where the problem starts. After someone eats a pastry or a salad dressing containing poppy seeds, these trace amounts of morphine and codeine are absorbed into their bloodstream. The body then processes these substances and excretes them in the urine, just as it would with any other drug. This can lead to a very difficult and stressful situation. A person who has done nothing more than eat breakfast could fail a drug test at their workplace or for an athletic competition. Standard urine drug tests can detect the presence of opiates for 48 hours, and sometimes even longer, after consuming food with poppy seeds. This can result in a false positive result, leading to accusations of illegal drug use. Because of this well-documented issue, many forensic labs have had to raise their threshold for what they consider a positive test for opiates. It's a strange and unexpected consequence of the potent chemistry of the opium, poppy, where the innocent act of eating a common food ingredient can intersect with the complex world of drug enforcement. For most of human history, the most potent drug from the opium poppy was morphine itself. It was isolated from opium in the early 1800s, allowing doctors to administer it in precise known doses. It was a miracle for medicine, but its addictive nature was a serious problem. Scientists began searching for a way to keep the powerful pain-killing properties of morphine while getting rid of its addictive side effects. They wanted to create a non-addictive version. In 1874, an English chemist first synthesized a new compound by treating morphine with a common industrial chemical. However, it was in 1898 that this new substance was famously and fatefully commercialized by the Bayer Company in Germany. They took morphine and chemically modified it by treating it with a substance called acetic anhydride. This process, known as acetylation, attached two acetyl groups to the morphine molecule. The new compound they created was called diacetylmorphine. Bayer marketed this new drug under the trade name heroin. They promoted it as a non-addictive cough suppressant and a heroic drug that they believed was safer and more effective than morphine. They thought they had solved the addiction problem. They were tragically, catastrophically wrong. The chemical modification did not make the drug less addictive. It made it far more powerful and far more dangerous. The reason heroin is so much more potent than morphine lies in how it gets into the brain. The brain is protected by a very selective barrier, called the blood-brain barrier, which controls what substances can pass from the bloodstream into the central nervous system. Morphine does not cross this barrier very easily. However, the acetyl groups added to the heroin molecule make it more fat-soluble. This chemical change allows heroin to slip across the blood-brain barrier much more quickly and efficiently than morphine. Once inside the brain, the body's enzymes rapidly convert the heroin back into morphine. This means that heroin is essentially a very fast-acting delivery system for morphine. This rapid delivery creates a much more intense and immediate rush of euphoria than morphine can produce on its own. Scientists estimate that heroin is between 4 and 8 times more potent than the morphine it is derived from. This intense effect also makes it significantly more addictive. The brain's reward system is powerfully and quickly hijacked, creating an almost immediate and overwhelming craving for more of the drug. The very modification that was intended to make morphine safer had the opposite effect. It created a substance so potent and addictive that it would go on to fuel epidemics of addiction and overdose deaths around the world for more than a century. To understand why opioids are so addictive and why an overdose can be fatal, we need to look deep inside the human brain. Our brains have a natural system for managing pain and creating feelings of pleasure. This system uses its own internally produced chemicals, which are very similar to opioids, called endorphins. The word endorphin is short for endogenous morphine, meaning morphine from within. These endorphins lock into specific docking stations on the surface of our nerve cells called opioid receptors. When an endorphin connects with a receptor, it sends a signal that can suppress pain, slow our breathing, and create a sense of well-being. This is the system that gives you a runner's high, or helps you cope with the pain of a minor injury. Opioids from the poppy plant, like morphine, and synthetic opioids like heroin, work because their molecular shape is a near-perfect match for these same opioid receptors. They're like a master key that can unlock the brain's natural pain and pleasure system. When a person takes an opioid, the drug molecules flood the brain and bind to these receptors far more powerfully and for much longer than our natural endorphins ever could. This hijacks the system, producing an overwhelming wave of pain relief and euphoria. The brain is not designed to handle this level of stimulation. It responds by trying to rebalance itself, reducing its own production of endorphins and even reducing the number of available opioid receptors. This attempt by the brain to adapt is what leads to tolerance and dependence. As the brain becomes less sensitive to the drug, a person needs to take larger and larger doses to achieve the same feeling. This is called building a tolerance. At the same time, because the brain has stopped producing its own endorphins, the person starts to feel terrible when the drug wears off. They experience painful withdrawal symptoms because their body has forgotten how to manage pain and mood on its own. This physical dependence creates a powerful compulsion to keep taking the drug, not for pleasure anymore but simply to avoid the agony of withdrawal. This is the cruel trap of addiction. The reason an opioid overdose is so deadly is directly related to the very function of the opioid receptors. These receptors do not just control pain and mood. They're also located in the brainstem, the part of the brain that controls our most basic, essential life functions. One of these functions is the automatic, involuntary drive to breathe. When a person takes a very high dose of an opioid, the drug molecules overwhelm all the opioid receptors, including those in the brainstem. This sends a powerful signal to the body to slow down breathing. In an overdose, this signal becomes so strong that breathing slows to a dangerously shallow rate or stops altogether. The person loses consciousness, and if breathing is not restored, the brain and other organs are starved of oxygen, leading to death. While the alkaloids of the opium poppy have given us powerful medicines and dangerous drugs, the simple, unassuming poppy seed has also found its own unique and clever place in the world of modern medicine. It's used in a surprisingly low-tech but effective diagnostic procedure known as the poppy seed test. This test is designed to help doctors detect a specific and troublesome medical condition. The condition is called a vesicocolic fistula. This is an abnormal tunnel or passageway that is formed between the colon, which is part of the large intestine, and the urinary bladder. This is not a connection that should exist in a healthy body. A vesicocolic fistula can cause a variety of distressing and unpleasant symptoms. Because the colon and the bladder are now connected, material from the intestine can leak into the urinary system. This can lead to recurrent urinary tract infections that are difficult to treat. It can also cause a condition called pneumaturia, where gas from the colon passes into the bladder and is expelled during urination. Another symptom is fecaluria, where small particles of stool can appear in the urine. These symptoms are a clear sign that something is wrong, but pinpointing the exact location of a tiny fistula can be difficult, even with advanced imaging like CT scans. This is where the humble poppy seed comes in. The test is remarkably simple. The patient is asked to eat a meal containing a significant quantity of poppy seeds, often mixed into yogurt or a drink. The seeds are small, indigestible, and easily identifiable. After consuming the seeds, the patient's urine is collected and monitored for the next 48 hours. The medical staff will then carefully examine the urine samples, looking for the appearance of the tiny, dark specks of the poppy seeds. The logic behind the test is straightforward and elegant. If there is an abnormal connection between the colon and the bladder, the seeds will travel through the digestive system, pass through the fistula, and end up in the urine. If poppy seeds are found in the urine, it provides a clear and positive diagnosis of a vesicocolic fistula. It is a definitive confirmation that the two organs are connected. This simple test can often succeed where more expensive and invasive diagnostic methods might fail. It's a wonderful example of how a simple, natural item can be used to solve a complex medical problem. It proves that not all medical advancements need to come from high-tech machinery or complex chemistry. Sometimes, the most effective tool is the one that nature has already provided, a tiny seed from a plant with a long and complicated history, still finding new ways to serve humanity.